Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. WWE SmackDown this week was scheduled to feature a massive singles match between Liv Morgan and Naomi. However, members of the Judgment Day attacked one half of the women's tag team champions beforehand, resulting in Nick Aldis kicking both of them from the arena. Aldis can now order Pearce to punish Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez by taking away their women's tag team title opportunity on the upcoming episode of Raw. Last week's episode of SmackDown featured a massive update on the Jade Cargill situation, revealing that Morgan and Rodriguez were exiting the parking lot when the Storm was being taken into the ambulance. Bianca Belair and Naomi launched an attack on Morgan on Raw, assuming that she and her partner Raquel Rodriguez were the ones to take Jade Cargill out of action. Additionally, Pearce confirmed a huge tag team match for the Women's Tag Team Championships on the upcoming episode of the Red Brand. However, if the duo of Morgan and Rodriguez continues to cause chaos wherever they go, the general managers might have to take action to assert control over their respective teams. With Nick Aldis frustrated by the Judgment Day's actions on SmackDown, he may take action against the duo. Aldis might ask Pearce to cancel the upcoming Women's Tag Team Championship match, which could potentially build some tension between both teams before WrestleMania. This week's WWE SmackDown also featured the return of the final boss, which appeared to be a sudden shift for the show. The Rock had two significant reasons for his comeback, but ended up making changes to the card of the show, reportedly scrapping a few matches. While the matches weren't scrapped, major changes were made to them. Liv Morgan versus Naomi was one of them, which turned into a brawl to save time for the final boss. The Rock is set to return once more at Elimination Chamber next week. Fans will have to wait and see what WWE has planned for the star next. The SmackDown arena was buzzing with energy as the WWE Universe gathered for another thrilling night of action-packed wrestling. Fans filled the seats, awaiting their favorite superstars to take center stage. Little did they know, the night would not just be about matches. It would be about consequences and retribution for two WWE stars who had crossed the line in recent weeks. Pearce, the WWE official, stood backstage, deep in thought. The tension in the air was palpable as the night's events unfolded. Pearce had been tasked with a delicate and, frankly, difficult job. His long-standing position as a WWE official had seen him make countless decisions, but this one was different. This time, it wasn't about enforcing the usual rules of the ring or making sure the superstars adhered to their scheduled bouts. This time, it was personal. Nick Aldis, the newly appointed general manager of SmackDown, had ordered Pearce to take action against two stars who had been wreaking havoc on the brand over the past few weeks. Stars whose actions had disrupted the natural flow of competition and caused chaos on the show. The two names echoed in Pearce's mind: Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins. The catalyst: the actions of Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins. The trouble began a few weeks ago when Sami Zayn, who had been on a tear of late, decided that he no longer wanted to play by the rules of sportsmanship. Zayn, known for his craftiness and unpredictability, had begun to employ underhanded tactics in his matches, even if it meant bending or outright breaking the rules. His most notable moment came during a match against Shinsuke Nakamura, where Zayn used a steel chair to attack Nakamura, causing a disqualification and earning the ire of the WWE Universe. But that wasn't all. Zayn went on to form an alliance with Seth Rollins, a man who had a history of being willing to do anything to stay on top of the WWE mountain. Rollins had been feeling slighted by the system, and in Zayn, he saw an opportunity to gain an advantage and tear down the very foundation of WWE that had built his career. Together, they made it their mission to stir chaos, not just in the matches they competed in, but throughout the entire SmackDown roster. Their attacks, both physical and psychological, became so disruptive that they drew the attention of Nick Aldis, who had been appointed as the new general manager with the task of restoring order to the show. Aldis had made it clear from the start that he would not tolerate any form of misconduct. The SmackDown roster needed to be held accountable for their actions. After an altercation between Zayn and Rollins and top stars like Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, Aldis had finally reached his breaking point. It was time for consequences. Pearce's dilemma: following orders or standing his ground. Backstage, Adam Pearce paced in the empty corridors of the SmackDown arena. He was conflicted. He had worked with these superstars for years, and he had seen their potential. But now, he was in a position where he had to discipline them. He was being asked to do more than simply make sure matches went according to plan. Pearce was being asked to enforce punishment that could potentially disrupt careers and affect the trajectory of these superstars' lives. The problem with Pearce's predicament was not just about the individuals involved. It was about setting a precedent. What would this punishment mean for the future of SmackDown? Would it send the right message to the rest of the roster? Would other superstars get the idea that they could break the rules without fear of repercussions? Pearce understood that Aldis' order was not just about the two men in question. It was about the future of the brand. Pearce knew that his job had always been to ensure that SmackDown ran smoothly. He was more than just an authority figure, he was a part of the WWE family. He had watched countless superstars rise and fall. His loyalty was to the company, and above all, to the fans. He understood that in order for SmackDown to remain the top show in WWE, the rules needed to be upheld. But he also knew the punishment had to be fair. It couldn't just be about satisfying Aldis' authority, it had to be about sending a clear message. As Pearce continued to wrestle with his thoughts, his phone buzzed, interrupting his reverie. The message was from Nick Aldis. Get it done. No excuses. That was all the motivation Pearce needed. There was no turning back now. He would have to carry out Aldis' orders, no matter the personal toll it might take. The decision. What Pearce must do. Adam Pearce's mind raced as he formulated his next steps. He knew he couldn't let his personal feelings cloud his judgment. Zayn and Rollins had become a cancer in the locker room, poisoning the atmosphere with their antics. They had turned their matchups into spectacles, not contests of athleticism and sportsmanship. Pearce had a responsibility to bring order back to the show, and this was the first step. It was decided. Pearce would call for a showdown between Zayn and Rollins, but this wouldn't be just any match. This would be a punishment match, one where the consequences of their actions would be made clear to everyone watching, both in the arena and at home. The match would be contested under special stipulations. No disqualification, meaning both men would be able to utilize anything they could find to their advantage, but there would be no escape. Pearce knew that in order to truly punish them, he needed to make sure there were real consequences. The kind of consequences that sent a message. It wasn't just about making them suffer physically. This was about breaking their spirits. The WWE Universe had seen Zayn and Rollins at their best, but now they would see them at their lowest. They would be forced to confront the reckoning for their actions. The fallout, Zayn and Rollins' response. As the night went on, Zayn and Rollins were unaware of what Pearce had in store for them. They had been running roughshod over SmackDown for weeks, thinking they were untouchable. In the backstage area, the two men were seen discussing their latest plans, the smirks on their faces evident of their belief that no one could stop them. But they were about to be proven wrong. The arena lights dimmed and the SmackDown ring announcer made the announcement. Tonight's main event will be a no disqualification match between Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn, enforced by Adam Pearce, to answer for their recent actions. The crowd erupted, and the tension in the air was palpable. Rollins and Zayn walked out to the ring, with neither man showing any signs of concern. They had done their worst, and they were prepared to take down anyone who stood in their way. The bell rang, and the two men charged at each other, weapons in hand. The match was brutal. Steel chairs, kendo sticks, and even the ring steps were used as weapons. Rollins and Zayn fought with reckless abandon, each trying to outdo the other with more and more devastating tactics. Pearce stood outside the ring, watching intently. His job was not to intervene, but to oversee the carnage and make sure it stayed within the parameters of the match. As the battle waged on, it became clear that Zayn and Rollins were both intent on sending a message, but Pearce's punishment was beginning to take its toll. The two men were battered, bloodied, and bruised, with neither willing to back down. The chaos they had unleashed on SmackDown was now coming back to haunt them. The end of the match came when Pearce made a decisive move. He ordered the ring announcer to reveal that the loser of this match would be suspended for a month, unable to compete on SmackDown, as a direct consequence of their actions. This punishment was the ultimate price for their disregard for the rules. In the final moments, Zayn attempted a hellacious DDT onto the exposed concrete, but Rollins countered with a superkick, sending Zayn crashing to the mat. Rollins then hit Zayn with the curb stomp, ending the match in a brutal fashion. The arena was filled with a mixture of cheers and boos as Pearce walked down to the ring. He had made his decision, and now the consequences would follow. Seth Rollins, barely able to stand, was declared the winner, while Sami Zayn lay motionless in the ring. Pearce looked at Rollins for a moment, then turned his attention to the fallen Zayn. There was no sympathy on his face, just cold, hard professionalism. "Take your punishment," Pearce said, his voice carrying over the loudspeakers. "You've earned it." As Pearce exited the ring, the WWE Universe witnessed the price of disobedience. And as the camera panned across the defeated Zayn, they understood the message loud and clear. In WWE, no one is above the law. The night ended with Adam Pearce standing tall, knowing that his decision had ensured that SmackDown would return to its rightful course. Zayn and Rollins had learned the hard way that chaos comes with a cost, and that even the most rebellious superstars must face their reckoning. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our WWE official YouTube channel for more update news.